Unexpected choice. Millionaire's daughter reveals heartwarming decision to choose Housekeeper as advocate for justice. Jessica Morgan stood before her ornate mirror, the soft light catching the sparkle of the diamonds in her earrings. The lavish room smelled of designer perfumes, and her closet overflowed with clothes that would impress even the most discerning fashionista. But even as she admired her reflection in the gilded frame, something gnawed at her. It was a darkness that didn't belong in her gilded cage. Beneath the surface of her million-dollar lifestyle lay an emptiness she couldn't put her finger on, until the night everything changed. It was late, and the grand house was quiet, save for the faint scuffle of a broom and the rustle of a phone call echoing through the hall. Curiosity piqued, Jessica tiptoed closer to the kitchen. There she found Rosa, the housekeeper, her voice low, tremors of worry weaving through her words. "I can't risk it, not now. My daughter needs me. I just want to keep her safe," Rosa whispered, tears threatening to spill. In that moment, the weight of shifts in the world shook Jessica's core. All those designer outfits and exclusive parties felt hollow as she heard Rosa's pain, the uncertainty of deportation hanging thick in the air. Suddenly, Jessica realized the chasm between her life and Rosa's struggles, and it filled her with indignation. In that shift of perspective, their daily exchanges transformed. What once seemed mere small talk blossomed into deep conversations about dreams and sacrifices. As the date of the high-profile charity gala approached, so did the pull of Rosa's reality. Jessica's parents insisted she attend to uphold the family name, yet each elegant gown felt like a prison. On the day of a debate at school about privilege and perseverance, she found her voice amid a chorus of passionate opinions. Each word echoed her inner awakening. She felt the deep divide of wealth and privilege, as though the shiny diamonds of her upbringing were now chains. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Fired up, Jessica began to organize a community fundraiser aimed to help Rosa fight for her rights. The school auditorium buzzed with excitement, but two worlds collided as her family network clashed with those who understood struggle. Her parents were outraged, their faces a mixture of disbelief. "This isn't your place, Jessica. You're ruining everything we built," they shouted, escalating the tension between them. Jessica's heart pounded as she stood behind the microphone that night, each beat a reminder of the choice she faced. She surveyed the crowd, families from all walks of life, united in hope and determination. Just as she was ready to disclose her connection to Rosa, her eyes met her parents'. Their disapproval cut like glass. Now, suspended in that moment, Jessica had a decision to make: uphold family honor or fight for justice. As her voice cracked and the room held its breath, she felt the stirrings of a new identity forming within her. Would she allow herself to step into this new world, even if it meant losing everything she once aspired to? Jessica inhaled deeply, her heart racing as she clutched the microphone tighter. The gazes of the crowd bore down on her. Every face reflected mixed emotions: hope, curiosity, encouragement, and fear. The applause she had anticipated almost felt like a distant memory. In that dimly lit auditorium, the gravity of her decision loomed larger than the cherry-wood stage. "Tonight," she began, her voice trembling yet resolute, "I want to talk about justice." With each word, she stepped closer to the edge of her old life, free-falling into an abyss of uncertainty. "Some of us are born into privilege, but that doesn't mean we should ignore those who are not." Her eyes darted to Rosa, who sat in the back, her face a mosaic of pride and anxiety. Jessica's parents exchanged furtive glances, their disappointment palpable. Each frown and clenched jaw acted as weights, pulling her back into the security of their world. But the faces of working families struggling in far more complicated realities shone brightly in her mind. "I'm here tonight to fight for Rosa," Jessica shouted, feeling a rush of energy surge through her. Instantly, the crowd erupted in applause. "She deserves to stay with her daughter. She deserves to live without fear." The energy shifted in the room. The undeniable resonance of her words ignited a flame of passion among her peers. Yet right in her core, doubts creeped in. Was she abandoning her family, her upbringing? Would she lose the love of those who raised her? With her parents glaring from the front row, a whisper of hesitation passed through her mind. Could she really embrace this radical new reality? The weeks that followed were filled with a whirlwind of excitement and anxiety. Jessica found herself inundated with messages of support and encouragement. Friends and classmates joined her cause, crafting flyers, spreading the word, and sharing Rosa's story. The event was set for the following week, a fundraiser that would bridge two worlds that had never converged before. As she walked in the neighborhood with Rosa, surrounded by families deeply entrenched in their own struggles, Jessica felt a kinship she had never known. She listened to their stories, shared tears over fears of losing loved ones, and began to realize the power of community. This experience, so foreign to her privileged existence, lit a new path that felt more authentic than the glamorous parties she so often attended. "I can't wait to see the turnout next week," Rosa said one evening, her worn hands wrapped around a steaming mug of tea. "You brought people together, Jessica. That is powerful." The warmth in Rosa's voice made Jessica smile, and she felt a surge of purpose that none of her designer clothes could ever match. However, as the event approached, the anxiety of her parents loomed heavier. They summoned her into the ornate sitting room, laying down the reality of their expectations, like a rug unceremoniously unfurling. "What you're doing is not just reckless. It's dangerous," her father stormed. "We can't have our name associated with this kind of activism." Jessica's heart sank, but she pressed on, her resolve hardening. "What is dangerous is standing by and doing nothing while people suffer," she shot back. "I can't be part of that anymore." As she stormed up to her room, tears streamed down her cheeks, but they were not laced with defeat. They were fueled by the desire to carve her own destiny. She wanted her voice to roar, to become a force for change, not just a whisper against the oppressive silence of privilege. The day of the fundraiser finally arrived. Jessica stood at the entrance, ready to confront everything she had learned, every fear she had faced. She felt Rosa behind her, steadfast, encouraging, like a lighthouse guiding her through the dense fog of doubt. But just as the crowd began to gather, the chilling sound of sirens pierced the air. Jessica's chest ached as she turned to see flashing lights drawing nearer. What would that mean for Rosa? Would they be able to proceed? The reality of her choice pressed in on her as panic settled in. Would her stand for justice turn into a nightmare just as they were about to begin? Jessica felt the ground shift beneath her as the sirens blared louder, a chaotic symphony interrupting her thoughts. She searched the crowd for Rosa, who stood frozen, eyes wide with worry. Panic hit Jessica like a tidal wave. Would they take Rosa away? Would her struggle become a headline or a cautionary tale? The clamor from the crowd rose, whispers turning into anxious murmurs. Friends clutched each other's arms, eyes darting between the flashing lights and Jessica. She felt the weight of her choice pressing harder, but deep down, something urged her to face it head-on. "Stay here, okay? I need to find out what's going on," Jessica said, her voice steadying as she took a step forward. The series of sirens drew closer, already casting a shadow over the event's hope. She moved through the growing crowd, her instincts screaming at her to protect Rosa. As she reached the edge of the gathering, a figure stepped through the chaos. A police officer, tall and imposing, strode toward the entrance. The crowd parted like water, a mixture of curiosity and apprehension on their faces. "Excuse me, ma'am," he said, directing his attention to Jessica. "We receive reports about a disturbance in the area, and we need to ensure everything is in order." Jessica felt her heart race. She stepped closer, determination settling into her gut. "Everything is fine. We're here for a fundraiser, and we need your support." The officer studied her. He couldn't have been much older than she was, with soft eyes that showed a hint of understanding. "I get that, but we need to find out if anyone is causing trouble. Can you assure me that no one here is in danger?" The familiar warmth of the community she'd come to embrace swelled inside her. "No one is in danger. We're here together for a cause, fighting for justice for people who need it," she asserted, finding her confidence once more. The officer seemed to pause, weighing her words. Just then, another voice caught through the air. "Jessica!" It was her father, his tone sharp. "Get back here!" She turned, facing him, feeling a protective instinct flare. "No! I need to be here. We're not doing anything wrong." "Jessica, this is dangerous," he barked, stepping closer, his expression fierce. "You have no idea what you're putting yourself into." Suddenly, the surroundings felt like a fragile glass wall, threatening to shatter. "You don't understand," she shouted back, her own emotions boiling over. "These people are fighting for their lives, and I can't just stand by because it makes you uncomfortable." The officer nodded slowly, sensing the emotional tug-of-war. "I understand. I'll give you a couple of minutes. Just make sure everything stays peaceful." Relief washed over Jessica. She turned back to Rosa, who looked terrified but oddly proud. "You can do this," Rosa whispered, her voice barely audible above the distant clatter of panic in the crowd. Taking a deep breath, Jessica raised one trembling hand to quiet the gathering, her voice emerging from the storm of emotions. "I know it feels uncertain right now, but this is about hope. About finding strength together." As the crowd quieted, she recognized a fusion of doubt and hope reflected back at her. But the flicker of shared determination ignited something deep within her. She would not let fear define this moment. Just as the energy began to shift, a commotion erupted to her left. A group of individuals in suits approached, an air of authority trailing with them. Jessica recognized one of them, a lawyer she had seen on television, known for fighting against injustices. What did they want? Heart pounding, she prepared to confront whatever challenge lay ahead. Would they stand with her, or against her? The moment felt electric, a question hanging thick in the air. Who would ally with her cause, and at what cost? Jessica's gaze locked onto the approaching group, her heart racing as the weight of the moment hung heavily around her. She could see the distinguished lawyer, Samuel Lawrence, leading the way, flanked by his colleagues, all suited and polished. They looked like they had just stepped out of a boardroom, an intimidating contrast to the colorful signs and vibrant voices of the community behind her. Just when she thought her voice was steady, it quivered. What did they want? Were they there to shut down the fundraiser, to put an end to the community's fight? Jessica wanted to shout at them, to demand they leave, but that feeling of urgency mixed with fear clawed at her insides. She needed to be brave. "Jessica?" Samuel called out, his voice smooth yet commanding. "Can we speak to you for a moment?" The crowd murmured, eyes darting between her and the lawyer. Jessica took a step forward, avoiding her father's warning glare. "What do you want with me?" Samuel smiled politely, but there was a seriousness in his eyes. "We're here to see how we can help." "Help?" she echoed, skepticism dripping from her tone. "And how is that? By shutting this down?" He shook his head, undeterred. "No, actually, I believe in what you're doing. But I think we can turn this into something that resonates on a larger scale. I want to offer you a chance to broaden your impact. Her heart raced as she processed his words. A chance? For what? She wanted to question him further, yet she could feel the atmosphere shift behind her as the crowd listened, a mix of hope and confusion washing over their faces. What do you mean? Jessica asked warily. You want to exploit our cause? No. He raised his hand slightly, as if trying to calm a storm. I want you to reach more people. I have connections, resources we can amplify your message. You can become a voice for the voiceless. The air thickened with tension. Jessica glanced back at Rosa, who watched wide-eyed, and then at her friends, their faces a blend of disbelief and eagerness. This could be the breakthrough they had all dreamed of, but did she trust him? Help us, but on our terms, she finally said, her voice strong even as doubt flickered in her mind. We need to stay focused on the people we're fighting for. This can't just be another headline. Samuel nodded, his smirk fading into sincere agreement. All I can promise right now is my commitment to making sure your message isn't lost. I want to use my platform for good. Then it's about partnership, no control, Jessica reiterated, emboldened. Agreed, he said. But I need you to be open to the ideas we can bring forward. Together, we can change the narrative. The magnitude of what they were discussing hit her like a freight train. It could turn this whole movement into something bigger than herself, but it also meant opening herself to possible dangers and backlash. What if they twisted her words? What if they turned her fight into something it wasn't? Feeling her father's anxious gaze, Jessica swallowed hard. I'll think about it, she managed. But for now, we're holding this event for our community, no distractions. Samuel's brow furrowed slightly, disappointment flitting across his features, but he nodded in acceptance. That's fair, Jessica. Just know I believe in this cause. I'll be around. As he stepped back, Jessica felt a wave of relief wash over her. It wasn't a resounding yes, but it was a flicker of possibility. She turned to face the crowd again, their energy palpable. Let us keep this going, she shouted, igniting a burst of cheers. The moment felt electric, the weight of hope tugging at her heart, but in the back of her mind, a question festered: was accepting their help a way forward, or a way to betray everything they had fought for? With every heartbeat, the uncertainty loomed. What choices lay ahead? And who would be left standing when the dust finally settled? Jessica felt a swirl of adrenaline coursing through her. As the cheers of the crowd surrounded her, she turned to see Rosa beaming with pride. But among the smiles, she couldn't shake the heaviness in her chest. The thought of Samuel's proposition hung over her like a fog. The next hour was a blur. Speeches were made, laughter erupted, and people rallied together for the cause. But Jessica's mind churned. Every joke cracked, and every hand raised felt overshadowed by a growing anxiety. What if they all celebrated today, only for it to lead them astray? The truth was, she didn't know how to navigate this new battlefield of alliances and influence. At one point, she stepped away from the main stage, seeking a moment of solitude. The air was cooler under the leafy trees, where the voices of the gathered crowd became a soothing hum. She leaned against a sturdy trunk, letting out a shaky breath. Her phone buzzed, pulling her from her thoughts. It was a message from Samuel. Let us meet later. I have some ideas I think you'll love. As her heart raced again. Was this his way of pushing? Could it be worthwhile? She couldn't ignore the glimmer of hope his offer brought, but the worry of losing their focus pressed down hard on her. Back in the crowd, her father watched her with concern. His face was etched with skepticism about Samuel and his intentions. Jessica didn't need to guess what he wanted to say. He had always been cautious about outsiders. After the event, as the sun began to dip low in the sky, casting warm hues across the park, she met with Rosa and a few close friends to discuss the day's events. What did you think of Samuel? Rosa asked, one eyebrow raised. I don't know. I want to believe he means well, but this is our fight, Jessica replied, spinning a hair tie around her fingers. I just can't help but wonder if he is trying to take it away from us. What if we lose control? But think of what we could do with his resources, one friend chimed in, hopeful. Imagine how many people we could help. Jessica felt the tension rise within her as different voices echoed in her mind. They were right. Amplifying their voice could change lives. But at what cost? We have to stay authentic, she said firmly, making her decision clear to her friends. No matter what, our message must stay true to our community. As night descended, the event started to wind down. Amid the laughter and the exchanging of goodbyes, Jessica spotted Samuel standing on the edge, watching. He approached her, and she felt a jolt of nervousness. Hey, can we have that talk now? He asked, his expression calm, but there was excitement behind his words. Right now. She hesitated, glancing at her friends, who were starting to gather their things. There is so much at stake, Samuel. I don't want to make a decision I'm going to regret. He nodded, understanding flashing in his eyes. How about I give you some time to think? I can send over a few ideas through email, and we can take it slow. Yeah, okay, she sighed in relief. This was her chance to weigh her options carefully. But I need to make it clear this is a partnership, not a takeover. I want to lose what we've built. Absolutely, he replied, a hint of admiration in his voice. Just think about what we've discussed. I'm here to support you. As the evening came to a close, Jessica felt the weight of Samuel's words. It wasn't just a question of help anymore. It was about choosing the right kind of help. They all wanted to change the world, but the fine line of integrity loomed large. That night, as she lay in bed, the stars sparkling outside her window, her mind replayed her conversations. Could they emerge stronger together, or would this lead to unforeseen complexities that could unravel everything? Tomorrow would bring her closer to an answer. The ground felt shaky beneath her, but she knew one thing for certain. The path forward might not be clear, but the fight was far from over. What other challenges awaited as she stood on the precipice of this pivotal choice? And who would be there to guide her through the darkness? Ahead? Jessica woke the next morning with the sun streaming through her window, painting the room a gentle gold. She felt a sense of warmth, but it was overshadowed by the uncertainty of the day ahead. The promise of change loomed large, and she didn't know how to feel about that. After a quick breakfast, she grabbed her phone. Samuel's message from the night before still lingered in her mind. She wondered what he had planned, what kind of ideas he was ready to share. The thought made her heart race again. Was it hope or fear fueling her excitement? Rosa met her in the park later that afternoon, just near the old oak tree where Jessica often found her center. You okay? Her friend asked softly, sensing the weight on Jessica's shoulders. Kind of. I'm just worried about everything, Jessica replied, glancing at the crowd of people enjoying the sunshine. Samuel's ideas could change so much. I don't want to risk losing what we have. Rosa nodded, her brow furrowing. But if his resources really could help, maybe it's worth considering. Maybe we're meant to work together. Jessica sighed. I know, but I don't want to compromise our message. Our cause is bigger than just us. It's about the people who trust us. The two stood in silence for a moment, taking in the laughter and energy around them. Jessica felt the familiar pull of responsibility, the ache to do the right thing. It was what had driven her this far, a fierce loyalty to her community. We could arrange a meeting with him, Rosa suggested, her eyes lighting up. We have to hear him out anyway. Jessica bit her lip, considering. Yeah, maybe I could ask him more about his vision. We can lay down some ground rules. As the sun dipped low again, they made their way to the cafe where they usually met Samuel. The air was bustling with conversation, but today Jessica could only focus ahead, her heart thumping like a drum. When they reached the cafe, Samuel was already there, waiting at a table outside. He looked up, a charming smile greeting them, but Jessica could see the determination in his eyes. He was ready to talk business. "Hey, thanks for coming," Samuel said, standing to greet them. His presence was strong and confident. "I've been looking forward to this." "Right," Jessica said, trying to sound more composed than she felt. She sat down, Rosa next to her, their eyes darting between each other and Samuel. "So you wanted to share some ideas?" He leaned in slightly, eager to impress. "What if we expand your outreach? I have connections that can help fund initiatives you're passionate about." "Think bigger campaigns, more visibility." As he spoke, Jessica felt both excitement and hesitation. She had to remember. This was her show, her voice. Nothing mattered more than their authenticity. "I appreciate it, really, but what is the catch?" she asked, her expression serious. Samuel paused, and for a moment Jessica saw vulnerability flash through his confident facade. "There's no catch, I promise. I see the good in what you're doing, and I want to help lift it up. Together, we can make a difference." Jessica's heart ached at his words. There was a sincerity there, something she hadn't expected. Did she dare to dream of a partnership? "Let us approach this carefully," Rosa added, sensing the shift in the air. "We stand to gain a lot, but we need to make sure it aligns with our goals and values." "Yes," Jessica said firmly, looking Samuel directly in the eye. "We're on the same page so far, but we need to set some boundaries. We're not looking for a takeover." Samuel smiled, this time genuinely. "I wouldn't dream of it. I'm here to help you lead, not overshadow." As they continued talking, layers began to unfold. It was becoming easier, but with each moment of potential, Jessica felt a battle brewing inside her. Could she truly trust him? Their conversation flowed into ideas and possibilities, and each time Samuel looked at her, she felt lighter. Maybe it was possible to find a way to collaborate that honored their mission. But as she left the cafe with Rosa, a question nagged at her. What would it really cost to accept help? Tomorrow would bring a decision, and with it, unforeseen challenges. What if they could change the world together, but at a price too high to pay? Would the truths that bind them be enough to keep them from unraveling? The next day dawned cold and gray, a stark contrast to the vibrant, sun-drenched conversations of the previous afternoon. Jessica shivered slightly as she wrapped a scarf around her neck, the anticipation gnawing at her stomach. This was the day. The decision was near, and it felt monumental. She couldn't shake the feeling that whatever choices were made would ripple far beyond her. After another simple breakfast, she reached out to Rosa. "I think we should meet Samuel again today," Jessica said, determination threading through her voice. "All right, what time?" Rosa asked, her tone brisk but encouraging. "Let us say around 2. We can ask him more about funding and what he really expects from us," Jessica replied, scribbling notes in her head. "Sounds good. No more dancing around. Let us get to the heart of it," Rosa affirmed. The hours crawled by, each tick of the clock filled with Jessica's restless energy. She and Rosa arrived at the cafe early, too nervous to wait and watch. They chose a table off to the side, a quiet corner where they could talk without interruptions. When Samuel arrived, he carried an air of confidence mingled with eagerness. "You two are here early," he said with an inviting smile. "I'm glad." He took a seat across from them, and the atmosphere shifted. Serious business overshadowed the small talk. Jessica took a breath. "Let us just dive in. We need to understand clearly what exactly do you want from us." Samuel's brow furrowed slightly. He seemed taken aback for a fleeting moment, then steadied himself. "I want to create something impactful together." Your passion and dedication could reach so many more people if we join forces. But at what cost? Rosa chimed in, eyes piercing through the facade. We want to know your long-term vision. Pricey campaigns can lead to compromising our ideals. I get that, Samuel admitted, leaning back. My focus is on empowerment, not control. I want to amplify your voice, but I need you both to trust me. This isn't just about funding, it's about visibility. Jessica felt a flicker of something. Was it hope? Yet doubt held her tightly. The stakes were rising. What is your ultimate goal? What do you gain from helping us? He hesitated, his eyes searching theirs, as if weighing how much to reveal. Look, I come from money. I know it can corrupt. I'm fighting against that in my life. You two are my chance to change the narrative. I want to be part of something good. Jessica shared a glance with Rosa, who raised an eyebrow, silently asking if they could trust him. We want to help our community, Jessica replied, feeling the weight of her words. But what if you're pulled in another direction? What if your business interests clash? Samuel held her gaze, earnestness washing over his features. I promise, if this goes through, it's a partnership. I want you to retain control. You have to believe that. Jessica's heart raced. Had she wanted to believe all along? Could they really make a difference with Samuel by their side? I'll have to think about it, Jessica said finally, her voice steady but wary. Rosa nodded, signaling their need for time. We appreciate your honesty. A decision isn't easy, and we need to protect what matters. As Samuel nodded, Jessica felt a rush of emotions flooding her thoughts. A partnership could enlarge their reach, but would it also bring new challenges and unforeseen complications? As the conversation dwindled into small talk, Jessica realized she had one pressing question lingering. Could she truly trust him? Or was this just the beginning of a transformation that could pull them off course? This moment was pivotal, and her heart whispered the truth she feared. What if their quest for help came at the cost of everything they stood for? How would they navigate the shadows of potential betrayal? With a firm resolve, she looked at Rosie, silently asking for support as they exchanged thoughts about the looming decision. Tomorrow would mean a leap into the unknown, and every choice they'd make could either build a bridge or a chasm. What lay ahead, she wondered. Would they emerge stronger, or would the dream they hoped to build slip through their fingers? The clock was ticking, and Jessica felt the urgency of their choices closing in. The next morning came with a heavy mist that clung to the trees and wrapped the streets in a somber embrace. Jessica woke early, her heart still racing from yesterday's meeting. The weight of their decision loomed large, a specter that wouldn't let go. She brewed coffee, the rich aroma filling the small kitchen, but it didn't bring her comfort today. Instead, she found herself lost in thought, replaying Samuel's words as if they were a script she needed to memorize. Rosa arrived a bit later, shaking off the last droplets of fog from her hair. "Hey! Ready to talk?" she asked, standing in the doorway with a determined look. "I don't think I can make this decision without some real clarity," Jessica admitted, her gaze drifting to the street outside. "It all feels murky, you know?" Rosa nodded, her brow crinkled slightly. "Let us lay it all out, pros and cons. What do we know about Samuel? What are we risking?" They sat down at the dining table, papers and notebooks strewn everywhere like pieces of a puzzle yet to be solved. "He is saying he wants to empower us," Jessica started, "but I need to know the truth behind that. I want to believe him, but what if this is just a flashy distraction?" "I hear you," Rosa concurred, tapping a pen against the table. "But think about it. If we partner with someone who has the means to help amplify our message, we could reach so many." Jessica bit her lip, absorbing Rosa's enthusiasm. "But at what cost? What if we lose our voice? What if we become just another project to him?" Rosa opened her notebook, scribbling down their concerns as they went. The mental exercise brought Jessica a little comfort, a sense of control in the chaos swirling around her. They discussed the risks of losing their vision versus the potential of doing more good together. Then, without warning, Rosa paused, a thoughtful expression crossing her face. What if we asked him to meet again? This time, let us push for specifics like, what is his real motivation? Why us? Rosa suggested, her eyes sparkling with hope. Maybe, but are we ready to confront him about that? Jessica wondered, her voice wavering as anxiety crept in again. Rosa nodded resolutely. Absolutely. We can't be afraid to ask the hard questions, or we might find ourselves in a situation we can't escape. As they finalized their strategy, Jessica felt a mix of exhilaration and dread. She was chasing the dream of helping her community, yet she was also walking a tightrope, teetering on the edge of uncertainty. Could they really create something meaningful together? Or would Samuel's influence pull them into waters they didn't want to traverse? The hours passed quickly, and soon it was time for their next meeting. As they made their way to the cafe, Jessica's heart thudded in her chest. This was it, time to uncover the truth. When they arrived, they found Samuel already seated, a confident smile playing on his lips. I'm glad you could make it. What is on your minds today? He greeted, genuine warmth tracing his voice. Jessica exchanged a swift glance with Rosa, who nodded slightly, urging her to take the lead. Taking a deep breath, she knew she had to break the surface. Samuel, we appreciate your vision for this partnership, but we need to understand your true motivations. What do you really gain from being involved with us? The air shifted slightly, tension blooming between them like a charged thunderstorm. Samuel's gaze sharpened, the ease he'd shown before replaced by a flicker of uncertainty. I want to help, integrity intact, he replied, but Jessica wasn't satisfied. They had crossed a threshold, and there was no turning back. The truth lingered in the air, heavy and unresolved. Would Samuel fight for their shared vision, or was he simply a charmer with hidden agendas? Jessica's heart raced. The impending conversation felt bigger than just them. It was about a dream, a community, everything they held dear. What if they walked away today, not just with answers, but a vision forged on honesty? Or worse, what if they shattered it all? With needles of anxiety prickling her palms, Jessica knew the moment of truth was at their doorstep. Would they step forward together? Or would the shifting shadows turn them apart? Jessica stared into Samuel's eyes, searching for any sign that might help her make sense of the whirlwind of emotions swirling inside her. He leaned back slightly, the confidence he exuded earlier now competing with a hint of vulnerability. Look, he said, breaking the silence that had stretched like a taut string between them. I know this feels sudden, but my commitment to you and your mission is real. I see potential where others don't. That's why I'm here. Rosa interjected, her voice steadying the moment. So, if you do see that potential, why us? How did we catch your eye? Samuel shifted in his seat, considering his words. I've seen countless groups come and go, but there's a spark in what you two are doing. It's raw, it's genuine. I want to amplify that. Together, we can make a real difference. And what is in it for you? Jessica pressed, her voice barely above a whisper, as she fought to steady her heartbeat. You've got everything already. Why invest in us? He dropped his gaze to the table, and for a fleeting moment, Jessica sensed transparency. I want to build something meaningful. In my world, I'm surrounded by people seeking profit over purpose. I've grown tired of that. Helping you empowers me as well. Jessica leaned back, the tension in her shoulders easing ever so slightly. Could it be true? Could someone with Samuel's level of influence actually have altruism as his motivating force? She wanted to believe him. Jessica, Rosa nudged quietly, maybe you need to share more of why this is so important to us. Our pasts. What drives us? The suggestion felt risky, but as Jessica sifted through her personal history, the struggles, the sacrifices, it began to slip from her lips, each word a thread weaving their commitment tighter. She spoke about her family, her neighborhood, and how she longed to create a brighter future for others like her. As her voice grew stronger, Samuel listened intently, the flicker of something deeper igniting in his expressive eyes. For a moment, the cafe around them faded away. It was just the three of them in a cocoon of honesty and vulnerability. Once Jessica finished, there was a heartbeat of silence. Samuel exhaled slowly. That is exactly why I want to help. You stand for something significant. But we need more than just words, Rosa replied, emboldened by Jessica's honesty. We need a structure, a plan. We can't risk becoming another failed initiative. You have to show us how you can be the partner we need. His brows furrowed in thought. I can outline a strategy. I can connect you to influencers who believe in community-driven change. But it will require trust from both sides. Jessica felt the weight of Rosa's gaze upon her, as if her friend's eyes were begging for a decision. Could she place her faith in Samuel? Was a partnership with him a leap into unknown waters, or a chance at solid ground? I want to believe you, Samuel, Jessica finally said, her heart in her throat. But we have conditions. You need to align with our vision, not just provide funding. We need clarity moving forward. I can do that, he said, the tension in his shoulders easing as he leaned closer. Let's sketch this out together. Let us turn dreams into reality. A spark of hope fluttered in Jessica's chest. Maybe they were on the brink of something transformative after all. But just as she began to feel a glimmer of optimism, a sharp ringing noise interrupted their moment. Samuel's phone buzzed violently against the table, jolting them back to reality. He glanced at the screen, his expression shifting to one of anxiety. I have to take this, he said, rising quickly. Before stepping away, he turned to them and added, Please think about what I said. We may have a chance to do something incredible here. As he walked away, Jessica and Rosa shared an anxious glance, the air between them thick with uncertainty. What was going to happen while Samuel was on that call? Would he come back with bad news or something that would change everything? The two women exchanged uncertain nods, lingering in the moment before the unknown beckoned them. Once more, what lay ahead felt more significant than they could have imagined. Could they trust him, or was this just the calm before a storm? The cafe bustled around them, but Jessica felt a heavy silence drape over their table. The lively conversations and the clinking of cups blurred into background noise as anticipation clawed at her. She and Rosa exchanged glances, the unspoken dialogue echoing their fears and hopes. Do you think he'll come back? Rosa asked, her voice barely above a whisper. What if we lose this opportunity? We have to trust that he sees our worth, Jessica replied, her heart racing. But what if his motivations change? What if we become just another passing project? Rosa took a deep breath, grounding them both. We can't let fear dictate our choices. We're fighting for something bigger than ourselves. A few anxious minutes passed before Samuel returned, his expression taut, but determined. I'm sorry for that. It was a last-minute meeting request I couldn't ignore, he said, settling back into his chair. But it reinforced my belief in our vision. Do you still want to discuss a partnership? Jessica felt a mix of hope and nerves dance in her stomach. She remembered the lives at stake, the community that depended on their courage. Yes, but on our terms. We need to keep our mission clear, and you must promise us that you'll remain aligned with our values, she asserted, her position firm but hopeful. Absolutely, Samuel responded, his voice steady. Your cause is genuinely meaningful. I'm not here to overshadow you. I want to help elevate your message and reach more people. It's going to require a lot of collaboration, though. Jessica and Rosa leaned in as he outlined his ideas. Fundraising events, community engagement campaigns, and outreach programs rolled off his tongue like a symphony. Each concept painted vivid pictures in Jessica's mind. She could see families that would benefit, children who might find safety, and hopes ignited where despair once lingered. With every passing moment, doubt began to fade, replaced by excitement. "What you're suggesting could truly uplift our community," Jessica said, looking down at her notes. "But we must establish boundaries about our objectives and keep checking in with each other. We can't lose our purpose." "Agreed," Samuel nodded, eyes gleaming with sincerity. "We will set milestones together, and I promise you'll still have the final say on the narrative." As their conversation unfolded, time slipped away. The vision became vivid, their shared goal rooted firmly in justice, compassion, and transformation. Each of them contributed ideas and concerns, crafting a strategy that began to feel attainable. Jessica felt warmth swelling in her chest. Together, they could turn their dreams into reality. By the time they wrapped up, Jessica found herself brimming with anticipation, excitement coursing through her veins like electricity. This was going to be the start of something huge. But just then, Jessica's phone buzzed with an incoming message, the screen illuminating a chilling notification. "IC activity report in local areas. Be vigilant." Her heart plummeted. Jessica looked at Rosa, a wave of apprehension crashing over her. "They're here," Jessica whispered, her voice shaking. "The fear we've been fighting against, it's happening now." Urgent action whirled through Jessica's mind. "We need to spread the word. We can't sit idly by." Rosa nodded, her determination rekindled. "Let us raise awareness. We have to rally the community together now more than ever. People need to know what is at stake." The two women quickly texted their friends, sharing information and asking them to spread the word. It felt like the ground beneath them was shaking, but that's when they needed to stand firm. Night fell, but Jessica couldn't fall asleep. She scrolled through social media, sharing crucial updates and urging others to join them. She noticed a steady stream of likes and shares, each one lighting a flicker of hope in her heart. They were building momentum. As the dawn broke, a powerful resolve flooded through Jessica. This was what it meant to be a part of a community, to stand up for one another, to unite under a shared desire for justice. It was a true awakening. Days passed, and the fundraiser they had once planned soon shifted into an urgent community rally, bringing people together under the banner of compassion, collaboration, and love. When the day arrived, Jessica took the stage, heart pounding. A beautiful garden of diverse faces gathered before her. "Thank you all for coming today. We're not just fighting for individuals. We're fighting for families, for futures, and for the heart of our community. Together, we will not be silenced." The crowd erupted in cheers, and the atmosphere sparked with energy. As Jessica looked out, Rosa by her side, she knew they had transformed their fear into strength, their discomfort into action. With Samuel watching from the sidelines, Jessica felt elation and gratitude for this partnership formed not just of necessity, but of hope. They had stepped boldly into new territory, weaving together their ideals with a common purpose. As their community filled with stories of resilience and courage poured forth, Jessica knew they had ignited a movement that would reach far beyond any expectations. In action and intention, their hearts beat as one, forging a path toward justice and brighter tomorrows. And so it was, amid a sea of kindred souls, that she realized they were all worthy advocates for each other, becoming change makers woven together in the fabric of community. As they celebrated new hope, she couldn't help but feel a surge of joy. They'd fought for every moment, every connection, and she wouldn't change a single thing. "Let us keep fighting," she shouted, her voice ringing out over the crowd. Cheers echoed back, each face beaming back affirmation. In that beautiful moment, Jessica knew she had found her place, not in the shadow of privilege, but surrounded by the warm embrace of unity, resilience, and unwavering love. Now, if you want to witness more incredible transformations like this one, you need to subscribe immediately to the channel. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, and spread the word. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this ending. Don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. You matter, your voice matters, and together we can keep the movement alive.